Cool beans. All right. Zan made it. April, Michaela, Andrea, Glenn, Janaya, Owen. Hi, Paul. Hi, Taylor.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Antonia.
Hello.
Stephanie.
What an awesome crew we have here. Hi, Julia.
Hi, hi, Susie.
Rafini's in the house.
Hey.
Hey, John boy.
Hi, Christina.
Taylor, that hat is amazing. I love it. See what here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's officially fall when the grace snaps.
Yay. Oh, Ahora, good. I'm glad that you got the link. And Angie, there you are. The Audubon Society is also joining us today. Emmanuel, Susanna, Ricky, Ashley.
I saw Ruth in the crowd. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Lily.
Hello.
Thank you so much for making time to be part of this today, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Hi, everyone.
I feel it's so gratifying to see so many people wanting to come talk about the future of arts learning in Providence. It's a beautiful crowd. Thank you.
It is. Thank you everyone for joining. If you are not seeing the main background page, that gives you some prompts for a little icebreaker activity. I will go over it with you now. Are you guys having trouble seeing it? I was seeing maybe we could do take away the speaker view and go straight to the beautiful graphic that Pia put together for us. But essentially, we're gonna ask you to find a pen and paper for a little icebreaker real quick. We have about a minute or so to do this little activity. I'm gonna ask you to think about your own journey as an arts learner and or creative individual. If you're able to, please draw 2 to 3 touch points along the way, representing key moments that help clarify your path, facilitate your work, deepen your practice, or even things that got in the way and made it hard. So I'm going to repeat that. If you could grab a pen and paper and think about your own journey as an arts learner or creative individual, draw 2 to 3 touch points along the way, representing key moments that helped you clarify your path, facilitate your work, or deepen your practice, or even things that got in the way and made it hard. We have a really big group, so I'm really curious to see what you write. So as it relates to this, what supports have you received? What barriers have you encountered? And who has helped you along the way? As you think about your journey as an arts learner or creative individual, when we ask who has helped you along the way, we're asking who were the individuals who did so? And also, were there any organizations involved? So individuals or organizations. Give you another minute to do that. And then I'm gonna let Lael pick up the next part of our evening together. Thank you. Lael, I'll kick it to you.
All righty, thank you, Tracy. Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here today with us and sharing this space and time, and for being open to sharing your thoughts and ideas at this planning studio for the future of arts teaching and learning. My name is Lael Tucker, and I am the local program director for Turnaround Arts Providence, and a team member of the Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism here in the city. I wanted to start by shouting out the ACT team members and all of the amazing people that are behind the scenes for this studio call. Our director, Stephanie Fortunato, our deputy director, Lizzie Arujo, our cultural affairs manager, Gina Rodriguez-Drix, and our special projects manager, Micah Salkind, are all on the call today, and just wanted to shout them out for all their work and the amazing people that they are here. And also our artist facilitator team for the cultural plan, Shay Rivera-Rios, MJ Robinson, Tracy Johnson, and our Zoom production manager, Janaea Kizzy. Janaea is here to help with any Zoom IT issues that may come up, so we can direct message her in the chat, I believe, if anything comes up for anybody. So super excited to have her. Always need a Zoom assistant. The IT goes crazy sometimes. We also wanted to shout out our sector alchemists for this planning session, which is PIAC, Providence Youth Arts Collaborative, who worked to put all of this together today for everybody. It is an organization that consists of 8 small organizations to make up the big group. These organizations are AS220, Community Music Works, Down City Design, Everett Company Stage and School, Riot Rhode Island, formerly known as Girls Rock Rhode Island, the Manton Avenue Project, New Urban Arts, and Providence City Arts for Youth. So give them all a hand and a shout out for this amazing night that we're about to all embark on this call. So we are here today as part of Creative Providence planning process. Some of you may remember the first cultural planning process, which our department led over 10 years ago and released back in 2009. Today's conversation is a part of the revamp of that cultural plan for the 2030 vision. So thank you for being here and being part of this work. One of our goals for ACT is to help support access for kids and adults alike to have arts learning opportunities throughout life stages. And we are grateful to be part of a community with such amazing partners here in the city. As I mentioned earlier, I'm the director of Turnaround Arts Providence, and it's a small program within the other programs that we have here in the city. We are a partnership between the Center in Washington, D.C., Providence Public Schools, and our Department of Art, Culture, and Tourism. We work in 3 middle schools here in the city and support arts integration for arts-based learning strategies into the core curriculum. We help support teachers and students in this and bring connection between local artists and local art partners into the school system, help facilitate artists to align the work that they do with the students to standards, and help support culturally responsive teaching and within the school communities and in the classrooms. So we are just a small piece of all of the arts learning that happens in this city, and so I'm so grateful to be part of the team, and we are thankful for your presence here today and for all of the work that you're going to do here to further the vision for arts learning and teaching in this city. So thank you. I'm honored to be here as part of this team, and I look forward to the rest of our call. I just wanted to now kick it off to Denise, I believe, for our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Lael. So as we get into our work today, before we get into deep, it's important to take a moment, of course, to not only center our work, center ourselves, but be cognizant of the land in which we are in. So I'm gonna invite folks to take off their shoes if that's something that feels comfortable to you. If you're seated, you can remain seated. However, if you would like to stand, I'm gonna invite you to go ahead and stand. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And come all the way to the back of my room. If standing is not available to you, that's also okay. You can remain seated. And we're gonna find our center of gravity. If closing your eyes feels okay, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, you can find a focus point in front of you, which you can sort of gaze lightly upon. And really start noticing the way that your feet touch the ground. Maybe as you do that, trying to feel what that sensation is like. And you might say, well, it feels good, it feels weird. But what exactly does it feel like? Does it feel like pressure? Does it feel tingly? And notice both of your feet firmly planted on the ground on which you're standing, as if there were suction cups, or like as if you were a gecko. And as you do that, I'm going to invite you to sway back and forth, but both feet will remain on the ground, just side to side. Invite a breath in through your belly, so your belly will pop out. Let it out. And now sway front and back, just a tiny bit. And then place both of your hands right under your belly button, which is normally where our center of gravity is located. Just do that for a couple more times. So front and back, side to side. If you notice that some uncomfortable sensations come up, go ahead and open your eyes. Sometimes being in our body can be too intense, depending on how we're feeling. And as we do that, we're gonna give thanks as we look. We're swaying north, south, east, and west. And in the Mesoamerican tradition, we honor each point, north, south, east, and west of the land that we stand on. So-called Providence, which is Narragansett territory. But then we're also honoring, now bringing your hands on your heart, we're honoring the fifth direction, which is the internal direction. And one more time, I'm going to invite you to take a deep breath, making sure your belly expands. Hold it for a sec and release it. Again, together. One more time. And you can release the hands at your side and go ahead and shake it off. And you can come back to your seat, or if you remain seated, that's also fine. And I want to say thank you just again for being part of this call with us. We are PIAC, also known as Providence Youth Arts Collaborative, and there is, just want to make sure I am unmuted. Thank you. There's 8 of us, and we're super excited to present this work that we have been so grateful and just so excited to be part of. Somos la colaboración de las organizaciones juveniles de artes en Providence. El día de hoy vamos a hablar sobre la enseñanza y el aprendizaje de las artes en Providence. So today we'll be talking about arts and learning and what that looks like, what it looks like now, what it has looked like in the past, and what it would look like in the future. And just want to remind that if there's any youth out there that have done or do programming with any of the organizations that you see on the screen, go ahead and drop your name in the chat. just to make sure that you will get a $15 gift card to a place of your choice in the city. If you like bubble tea, if you like 7 Stars, if you, I don't know, want to get some socks at Frog and Toad, please go ahead and do that. And then one of us accordingly will go ahead and reach out to you to make sure we make it happen. So for us, the one thing, even though we use different mediums, we use music, we use performance arts, we use a bunch of different ways to express ourselves. The one thing that we are super passionate about is the fact that we love creating the right conditions for youth to succeed, to express themselves, and we believe in the power of the arts in order to do that. You know, we believe that art heals, art empowers, it shapes culture, and then also creativity has been shown to support positive health outcomes because it supports agency, it supports self-efficacy, and in so many ways, art really connects us to the past and the future while having this amazing ability of keeping us present. So I could say many, many things about the way that art has changed our lives and the lives of the youth that we work with. And we're gonna do that today. We know that art is revolutionary. We know that art is intergenerational. So shout out to everybody who made it to this group. You may see some youth in the groups. We're gonna break out into smaller groups for discussion. And we ask that you're just cognizant of that, you know, respecting everybody's stories, everybody's narratives. We're gonna ask that you share with us some of your experiences. Today we'll be owning our stories, we'll be claiming our stories, and we'll be sharing those stories with everybody. But when we share, we also share a part of who we are, right? We share our identities. And who we are is so valuable. So I wanna invite you to share in a capacity that feels comfortable to you, sort of thinking in this way of, there's a pool, there's different levels in the pool. Maybe you just wanna dip your toe. Maybe you wanna go up to your knees. Maybe you're ready to, like, you know, deep take the plunge. Whatever feels most comfortable to you and in the way that you wanna engage with this process today, we feel really appreciative of you being here. We want to make sure that we center the fact that each one of us, each one of you has and is an expert in what it means to be an artist. And again, there is so much power in sharing that with others. So, and just to be transparent, we will be, whatever gets shared here in this space will stay here. But whatever lifts up will be used to inform the next plan. So we're really, really excited to make sure that all of these ideas and the fact that Providence is incredibly multicultural, and that is truly a gift. So just know that going forward, as we break up into rooms, we'll be sharing some stuff, we'll be answering some prompts, and yeah, just engage with it as best as it feels most comfortable for you. I'm gonna pass it over to MJ, who is gonna tell us a little bit more about the logistics and give us a little bit of sense of what's to come. MJ, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Denise. I didn't realize the tension I was holding in my body, and I feel really grounded and excited now to enter conversation from this place of a little more calm and connection. So thanks for that. If we could get the agenda overview up, that would be awesome. I'll walk you through what we're going to be doing today. And just so you know, what we're doing in this session is we're having a series of conversations, and we'll be writing notes that are not connected to who you are, but your ideas. And that information about what you would like to see in our city, in our future for arts teaching and learning, that information is going to be collected and used and worked on to create our cultural plan for the next 10 years for the city, in particular for the education realm, for people of all ages and for formal and informal learning spaces. So here's our agenda for the day. In just a little bit, we're going to meet our little teams, our breakout groups that we will stick with throughout our 2-hour-ish session today. And then we will hear from storytellers about 3 different topics, just talking about their own experiences in that space to get our minds flowing on one way of entering that idea or conversation. So our first topic will be arts learning in school and beyond with storyteller Arav Sundaresh. Our second topic will be arts learning to advance equity, racial justice, and social change with Angie Gonzalez. And our third topic will be arts learning to promote healing, well-being, reflection, and personal growth. And that our storyteller for that session will be Roz Raskin. After those 3, so for each of those topics, our storyteller will give a very short 2-3 minute story. Then we'll join with our breakout group and we'll have facilitators from one of those several awesome arts organizations lead us through a few questions around that topic. To try to gather some of that information about what our reflections are and where we'd like to go in the future. So that's what those topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, it's hearing a little story, having a little conversation. At the end, we'll come together as a big group. We'll have another breathing break and learn from the Arts, Culture, and Tourism Department of the city about how to stay involved with the cultural plan moving forward. If we could see the community expectations next. Since we are going to be in conversation groups, we are asking folks to be mindful of how to engage with each other. So we take care of ourselves, and that means that if you're like, it's the end of a long day and you were just teaching all day or you were in school all day, like take care of yourself, get yourself that tea, turn your camera off and your audio off for a couple minutes, go take a bathroom break. So definitely take care of yourself, make yourself comfortable so that you can be as big a part of this as you can. And when we're having our group conversations, if you're comfortable and able to put your video on, that can be really helpful for some people to communicate and read the body language that we are so missing in the digital realm. Another is to reflect right now on yourself and think about yourself in a group conversation, especially with people you don't yet know. Are you someone who feels confident to speak up in a group setting? Are you someone who feels a little more shy? Reflect on that for yourself. And if you're someone like myself, for example, I usually will feel comfortable to speak up. So I'm going to challenge myself to stay a little more quiet and only speak up when I see that other people and we're sharing the space well. So make sure that you're not the only person talking in the room. And if you're someone who's shy, if you're willing to challenge yourself to speak out, that would be great. You can also type in the chat. So if it's a little hard to get a word in the digital space, you can add your thoughts in the chat box as well. A couple other things, please avoid any jargon, which is like complicated words, and any acronyms that not everyone would know. I know, for example, PIAC, Providence Youth Arts Collaborative or Coalition, is an example of an acronym. And I would just make sure that everyone knew what it meant by saying the full name the first time I used it. Be curious and open in our conversations and be conscious of your intent and the impact. We will not throw shade on people. We will throw sunshine on people. We will call them in if they have said something that doesn't feel too too good on the receiving end. And if we have a negative impact on someone, let's come with a spirit of listening and thanking for their bringing to light, you know, how our words are impacting. All right, so with that said, I think that we are good to move on to the next moment.
All right, so we are going to go into our first breakout room, and it's basically so that we've done all the talking up until this point, but this isn't about us, it's about you all. And so in these small breakout rooms, you're gonna meet your facilitator, you're gonna meet an ACT staff member, and by ACT, I mean arts, culture, and tourism, who will be documenting, taking some notes, and you will meet each other. And the folks that you meet in that small group, you will be back with intermittently when we reconvene again. So we'll be in our groups for about 10 minutes or so, just doing some intros. There's a bunch of us, so it's much better if we, instead of going around in a big group, we split up and then we'll come back together again. Cool beans.
We are here.
We are back in the main room.
We weren't able to finish, Denise. That was fast. That was real fast.
That was real fast. I was just gonna say my apologies to those who did not get a chance to drop their intros. Please feel free to do that in the chat. I would like to hear. In our group, we were talking about our arts practices, but also ice cream, and it was fun. So please go ahead and drop that in the chat so that we can get to know you a little bit better, maybe buy you some ice cream after this. Cool beans. What I failed to say in the beginning of this, because I was really nervous, is that I am your MC for the day, which is why you'll hear me talking a lot. But up next, we have a wonderful human being who will be sharing his story on our first topic for the day, which is arts learning in school and beyond. And let me tell you a little bit about Ahora. He is a photographer, he is a visual arts educator, and an educational leader for about over 12 years. He has taught in Providence public schools, has been involved in LGBTQ+ and arts focused youth and community development organizations since 2001. And honestly, again, he's just a great human. So without any further ado, please welcome Ahora over to our group.
Hey all, what a cool situation to have so many folks, both familiar and new to me, on this call. So thank you for the invitation, and I guess I get to tell you all a little bit about my story. It's a little bit scary, okay, but I'm gonna do it. So as Denise said, my name is Ahora Sundaresh, and in 2001, I moved to Providence to attend Brown University. I grew up in Ohio, and I knew then that I needed and I wanted to go somewhere that had access to water, to the ocean, and my academic and family privilege enabled that journey for me to come here, and I haven't left. I'm the child of immigrants from India. My parents came to the States to pursue careers in medicine. And you know, that really became so much a part of me. My hard work, pursuing dreams, these were foundational values in my household. And education was held up as the key to growth and the key to success. And success was like this thing, air quote success, because I didn't really know what that meant. And all I knew in the context of my household was that it was academics. I had to study really hard. It became really intense. And I had this immense gratitude for the art studio in my high school. It became my solace. I worked in clay, mostly figurative sculptures in high school. I dabbled in some metals with my high school teacher at our community college. I'm still in touch with her, Denise Buckley. And so 20 years later, she's still someone I will bounce ideas off of. She was really a mentor, a listener, and most importantly in those years of high school, a space holder. Just really kind of hold space in that studio for us to be and to make. Also, I got to work with a local photographer, which definitely shifted my art focus personally in high school. And that was the time in a 6-week internship with her that I learned how to work in a dark room. I assisted her in studio shoots and learned how to control lighting. And beyond all that technical stuff, I really saw how art for that person, for Honey Lazar, who was my mentor, could enable her voice and project that voice, sharing her ideas and her beliefs through her photos. So, you know, those high school experiences and the arts freed me and helped me connect with people who, as I've just said, I'm still connected to, and it helped me really build my confidence and start to find my power. Like, it wasn't just about making sure I knew my calculus. Like, I could now find ways to see myself and show myself. And it really also, those connections in and out of school helped me really begin to think about what was ahead, the unknowns, and to sort of start to think about what lay beyond the expectations my folks had set for me. So coming to college, getting to the studio was a priority. I tried to balance my studio classes with studies in education policy and education practice. And I took every opportunity I could to show my artwork in student galleries. And that was a moment or moments where I started thinking about how art could facilitate engagement, both for me as an artist and for the viewers who experienced my work. I also started to understand how my identities, all the parts of me were integral to my making, to my art making, and that art making was integral to me understanding those parts, those identities, and understanding myself. And so it just was and is so important. What connected me outside of my own academics, my own art making, was a fellowship through our Department of Public Service at Brown to pursue a project that investigated various youth organizations throughout the United States who were working on summer mural projects. And so I was able to go to Oakland and Santa Fe, New Mexico. I went to a studio in New York, and then of course, in Providence. And that was my first connection with New Urban Arts. I think it was in 2003, and that it was the summer that the mural on Dean Street was painted outside on the studio. And then that kind of got me hooked with NUA. I applied to be an artist mentor. I later became an artist in residence. And I started to see, how that sort of level of engagement that I was experiencing with my own self and my own studio practice, that I started to see how after school and weekend mentorship in the arts really, really expanded that, sort of enabled my connection building, enabled my community building, and just started to sort of see how that could impact young people around me and near peers really at that time. When I graduated and went and started to figure out what was happening next, I started doing some safe schools work at Youth Pride, a good friend of many organizations who are represented here today. And so I went around the state doing like some direct support for GSAs, for advocating different policy changes. And this was a really big turning point for me in terms of like what else art could be, and what else like engagement could be. Because time and time again, as I visited those high schools in South Kingstown, in Newport, in Providence, in Charahoe, that the administrators and teachers would say to me, we support this work. We know it's important, but you're not a teacher, and you don't really get what it's like to teach a class of 30 students. And I didn't. I didn't know what that was like. So I took that as a challenge. And that's when I decided to pursue a teaching degree in art. And it sort of became this moment where I was like, oh, I can bridge my sort of arts mentoring background with my safe schools work. I can see how I can sort of take that that charge that Denise Buckley and Honey Lazar sort of put into me in terms of like help building those connections with young folks, and teaching art seemed like the path for me. So that's where I am now. As Denise said, I have taught in Providence for the past 12 years. And in the classroom, my goal really is to facilitate opportunities for creative practice, facilitate opportunities for creative practice to facilitate opportunities for engagement. This is gonna sound, it may sound like again, exaggeration, but I really hold my classroom as a sacred space in terms of sort of creating a safety for students and a place to really welcome students. I'm committed to constantly building curricula that honors them, to honor their experiences, to honor their identities, and that is responsive to them. So it's like, it is a constant practice of development. And I'm also really committed to engaging with my peers, though it's really hard because that little bubble of my classroom is is what's safe to me too, because sometimes pushing a conversation about racial justice or about queerness or about trans identities can feel really hard among colleagues who may be a little bit more established or well situated, but it's essential. And so that work has really sort of helped me cast that net and access my spheres a little bit more broadly. And I know that my arts background built up that confidence. I know that it built that power in me to be able to reach out and continue to build community. And it's wonderful how in Providence things come full circle. This summer, I was started to work on our union's racial justice committee. And there was someone in our meeting, I was like, I know that person, how do I know her? And after the call, Cassandra Inez, she sent me an email and was like, you were my artist mentor at New Urban Arts. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, you were. And she sent me a photo of the zine that we had made in that session. And it just was like, it was just that moment that yes, we're building community, we're building connection, and we're sort of stepping into that power that our art making and now our teaching practice has enabled us. So, that's what I continue to do. And I am excited to see where my own path goes, and of course, how my students take these challenges and run. The future is full of possibility. That's me.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I'm literally holding back a little bit of tears because I promised that I was not gonna cry on this call, but you're making it hard. Thank you for sharing that with us and being so generous with your story. So with that beautiful story that was just shared with us, I'm gonna invite us to go into the small breakout rooms and reconvene, discuss, what are the gaps or barriers to high quality arts learning, both for youth and for people of all ages. And what do we dream about when we imagine, 10 years from now? What does it look like when folks engage in arts learning? Inside schools, out of schools, and what are the things that we are already happening in Providence in terms of arts learning inside schools and out of schools as well? So let's go ahead and move into our small groups, and yeah, we'll be back soon. All right, so welcome back to the main room. Again, apologies, I think that we got cut off midway, but I'm gonna encourage folks as things start percolating. I know this time is really just very condensed. Feel free to please drop any of those thoughts, feelings, or insights that you may have in the chat. Oh, and you do not have to apologize. We have a specific allotted amount of time for the groups. It's just sometimes this medium is a little complicated. All right, so we'll keep it moving. We're gonna move right into our topic number 2, which is arts learning in order to advance equity, racial justice, and social change. And then with us today, I'm really excited to introduce an artist who has really been killing it lately. Angie Gonzalez is a Latina activist, artist, and Providence native who spent her teenage years in the Dominican Republic before graduating from URI in 2015. In 2018, she did a mural at the Salem Mural Exam. She has then been on multiple newsletters, front pages, and most recently, you may have seen her work pop up. And she's also a board member at the Avenue Concept since 2019. And then she continues to use her knowledge with social working in her personal life to connect with her community. You can find her work through social media platforms, mostly on Instagram. You can find her at Agonza Art, and that is AGONZAART. I will drop that in the chat. So please give a welcome to Angie.
Hi everyone, how is everyone? So, you know, I was definitely like wondering, like, what am I gonna say? What am I gonna do? But I feel like this needs to come out natural. Just as art is, art needs to be natural. It needs to come out of the heart, and it needs to come out of how I feel. So I want to start off of, I never want to, because the words, the main words when you hear the topic is equality, racial justice, and social change. And these are such big topics that we can go on and on and on because everybody has different opinions. So I'm going to kind of tell my story of what I went through to become an activist artist. So like Denise had said, I come from Dominican Republic where art is there, but you can't take it as a career. It's a big no-no in the Dominican family. It's like, no, that's not gonna bring money. You need to become a doctor or you need to become a computer tech. So for me, I lived in Dominican Republic for a very long time. And let's just say I witnessed a lot of violence, physical, mental, and when I lived here in Providence, when I came back from Dominican Republic and came here, let's just say I didn't have a really stable home. My dad was an immigrant and my mom had very heavy drug problems, which happens a lot here in Providence. So for me, I've always used my art as a coping mechanism, something like, how do I get this pain? I don't have anybody to talk to. How am I gonna get this out and just get it over with and go to school and be able to not be a dropout and not do what my friends are doing? And so art at the time, it wasn't a big thing. You don't see murals like you see nowadays. You don't see art as you see. It was more like these big names like Frida and all these people that I thought I could never become. So I think in high school, I went to Feinstein when I came from Dominican Republic. Feinstein got shut down in my year. So, but I was in New Urban Arts, which is cool that it was mentioned before. I actually wanted to be a fashion designer because I was like, well, I like art. I like design, like drawing and painting things. So why not become a clothing designer? But that's not really what I wanted. I was just told that. So I thought that. And I had a teacher who, a mentor, better say, that she was like, just do what you want to do, like be free. So I would just get clothes and paint on them, which was so odd. So, but she let me just do whatever I wanted to do, which was awesome. after that, I went to URI. I went through the talent development program, which is a program to help students who are from underserved communities who can't afford to go to college, who come from immigrant, or usually kids who come from DCYF or whatever the case may be. I went through that program to go to college. In college, let's just say I didn't fit in. I was too Latina. I don't want to use certain words, but I would be in a certain area and I was too colored, and then I would be with certain groups and I was too lighter complexion. So it was like I wasn't a fit in anywhere. So I felt like I was just like, what am I gonna do? So I had an amazing mentor in the talent development program. His name was Ted Shear. He was the most nerdiest, most coolest guy ever I came across in my entire life. And he was just like, you need to just be in a studio by yourself. So I came across another professor whose name is Bob. He was the top artist, Black artist of URI. And he gave me my first little canvas, and then he gave me a bigger canvas. And then I would go to his galleries. Yes, so someone's saying that they know Bob Dilworth. He gave me a bigger canvas, and then he's like, you should come to my show. Your art seems so similar to mine. So I was just like, okay, this is weird. So I showed up anyways, because I wanted to see his work. I showed up with some students, and if you don't know who he is, please Google him. He is a person who's a very Southern style. He paints a lot of his family members who are African-American and paints them on rocking chairs. And if you are of color, you know that rocking chairs is like a thing for us for some odd reason. So you paint people on rocking chairs, just doing like peeling bananas. It's just like such a cultural, like a simple thing that could be so culturally oriented. And it was on these like canvases that would fit the whole wall, was like 12 feet tall. And I'm like, how did you get this in this room? Like, it was so mentally and physically impacting that I couldn't even, like, I was just so in awe. And he saw that impact that it had on me. And the next class I showed up, he looked at me and said, Angela, I think you need to go home, or I need to go big, or you need to go home, because it's telling me something amazing you have in you that you're grasping, and I think you need to. So he made me buy this huge canvas, which, by the way, I could not afford. I was broke, and I didn't have family. I didn't have anybody. I just got adopted back into the United States. And my adoptive family, unfortunately, had moved out of the state. So I was in Rhode Island alone. So I got myself a part-time job, and I was able to afford it. I had teachers who basically donated things to me, and I did my first large painting because of him. And I think behind it was just more like self-expression. I had such depression because I couldn't fit in. I was culture, I didn't feel like nobody could relate to me, because it's either you have to either be really cultural, like Black, or you have to be white. And I was just like, I'm another. I want to be like, can I just have a piece of everybody? Like, so I learned to express what I went through, like, not fitting into these things. And I don't want to ever tell someone how to always welcome people from different backgrounds and whatever the case is, but more share how you feel, what your experience is. And that's what I've been doing with my art. I've been sharing how am I feeling when someone kind of like pushes me out of a group, or pushes me because of who I am, or because I have curly hair, or I have a too strong of an accent, or whatever the case may be. So I think for that piece is just more standing up for what you've experienced. You never want to speak on what you think it is. So I've been definitely using what I've gone through culturally, equality, and like the social part of the transition from one culture to another. And so having that piece, having being able to have that, to demonstrate that without words, because sometimes words can be mixed up. Like you say one thing, people take it another way. And that's the beautiful thing about art. Like you project your feelings and you let people internalize it, because they might have another experience. And so they're internalizing it now and they're using as what their experiences are. And that's what's it's about. It's about just letting the artist be an artist and letting the viewers be the viewers and internalizing how they see it. So, so it's a lot of emotions, a lot of things just put when it comes to like equality for now. I do want to mention like a lot of the pieces I've done has been all targeted about what people are going through, which is what I've gone through, you know, inequality. So like I did my Black Lives Matter painting, and I didn't do it in the intentions of making money. I didn't do it in the intentions of anything. I just wanted to be, I wanted to have the voice. I wanted to speak up for someone visually. And right now I'm planning to do some more works with the art, culture, and tourism that hopefully will take in place, and some other projects that I have planned to visually speak up on what's going on in Providence, because you can't make changes or ripple effects in the future if you're not targeting your area, your community. And that's what I want to do. I want to target as much Providence and then grow, and then fly into other sectors, so I can kind of share that message and that pain that I've been able to put on my canvases, and other people can kind of reflect off of that. So it's more self-reflection when it comes to equality and justice and social change, giving the platform to people to be able to express themselves and not interrupt them. Let them just tell them how they feel and what they've experienced. So.
Thank you, Angie. That was really special. And yeah, you touched on so many important points. Thank you for being so generous with your story. And we're all super excited and really psyched to always see your art pop up in different parts of the city, people taking selfies and, you know, just capturing those bright colors that you do. And it's like your soul just really shines through. So we're gonna move into our smaller groups, and we're gonna be in there for about 10 minutes and
You're muted, Denise.
Yes, I am. Thank you. So how art can move us into a world of racial equity and justice, where folks can live through their identities and their true selves. All right, team. So we're back in the main room. How's everybody doing? I know things are moving fast. Things are percolating. We are moving through. We have one more topic to go in today's conversation on the future of arts learning and education in Providence. And when we say arts education, we of course don't only mean K through 12. We mean what does art education can look like in the next 10 years in Providence for people of all ages, identities, and of course, accessibility is one of those big things. So thank you everybody who shared with us in the small groups. Our note takers are moving fast and they're capturing things, and we're gonna make sense of all of this at the end, and then finally it'll come together in the cultural plan. So our last topic of the day is how arts learning promotes healing, well-being, reflection, and of course, personal growth. And from what I have heard this evening, every single one of our storytellers and in our groups, everything's weaved together, right? So we've already heard the way that arts really captures and promotes healing, promotes our growth, our ability to reflect on who we are and who we want to be, and of course makes us feel better about ourselves. Our next storyteller is a very special person. Their name is Ross Raskin. They're not here with us today, but they did send a really nice 2-minute video that we're going to check out. They're going to talk about their experience, both as a learner and teaching artist in Providence. They're a writer, they're a musician, a community organizer, and they teach, and they're based here in Providence, where they were born and raised. And they currently serve as a board member and keyboard instructor at Riot, Rhode Island. And they've been touring for over 10 years. And you can most recently see them touring with their cosmic pop project called Nova One. And currently is also curating some safer musician show spaces under the name Self Love. I cannot wait until COVID ends so that we can have shows. And in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and share, if I can, I'm gonna share my screen to share the video. Bear with me a second. We are pros at this thing. All right.
Hi out there, my name is Roz Raskin, they, them pronouns. I am a touring musician, I'm a piano instructor and also show booker based here in Providence. I was also born and raised here, and I'm currently co-chair of the board of Riot, Rhode Island. And thank you so much, Yak and ACT, for having me here today. Today I'm speaking to the prompt.
You can come see if you want.
And the effects of that programming on internal healing, relationship building, and understanding of the self. And firstly, I would say that one of the most important things that arts programming does for youth in our communities is literally hold space and have space for folks to come and explore their imaginations, to try different mediums within art, to meet new people, like-minded young people. Sometimes just having a space for people to exist in that particular way is as important as really anything else. Secondly, arts programming helps to facilitate relationships. So for example, when I was at classical high school and our arts program was pretty much non-existent, I was able to go right across the street to New Urban Arts, which was an amazing young program at that time. And I was able to meet other weirdo arty kids and talk to lovely mentors that really cared about the youth and were very patient and understanding and gave us that space to just be. And it's through those moments where you develop trust and friendship that community is built. Lastly, we see the positive effects of art and music programming in the research. Study after study has shown that art and music help to strengthen bonds with others, to help memory and problem solving, to help us de-stress as people, help us to do something fun. And we see that constantly, for example, at Riot Rhode Island, where during our programming, the kids are learning how to write a song, to work together in a band, to perform with their band at the end of a week. It's really a special thing. Music and art function as safer spaces for healing, as a place for us to truly be ourselves, and that is invaluable. Thank you for having me today.
So with that, we'll move into the small groups. I think that we are at this place where we understand the way that arts and music really influence our lives. We have thought about it and the bigger picture, but now I'm gonna invite you to think about it in a more introspective way. And by that I mean to go inside and think of how art and music has touched your life in a way that, whether it's a special song that when you play it, it really takes you to a place of healing, as Angie mentioned, you know, finding healing and mental well-being by being able to express herself through her art. And yeah, let's go ahead and move into the smaller groups, and then we can get into it a little bit more in there. Okay. So it's about 6:40. Feel like I did a really poor job at doing time checks. I just get caught up. I let nerves get the best of me. So thank you all for hanging in there through this wild ride we called Zoom life. We've been sharing a lot. We've been hearing a lot of stories. We've been holding a lot of space for these sacred stories. And I cannot express how meaningful that is to be part of this. So thank you so much to everybody, our storytellers and everybody in the small groups who've been so gracious and generous with their stories. So now, because we've been sitting for quite a while, let's go ahead and I'm gonna kick it over to Dorothy. Dorothy is the executive director at Everett, and I'm super psyched that she's gonna walk us through some movement, I believe. Is that right?
I'm going to very simple movement, so you can stand or sit, and it's really has a lot to do with breathing. So I like you to just relax, and if you want to stay sitting, the big thing is to relax and let the weight of your body fall into the chair or into the floor. And when you start to feel the weight of your hands or your shoulders or your feet, it means that things are relaxing. And so we're just going to do a simple breathing exercise. I'm going to use some words from Thich Nhat Hanh. It's his meditation, and it's simply, there'll be a word, a sentence to breathe in with and a sentence to breathe out with. And I'll just say those for you. So we're going to breathe in. Breathing in, I know I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know I am breathing out. As the in-breath grows deeper, the out-breath grows slow. Breathing in makes me calm. Breathing out brings me ease. With the in-breath, I smile. With the out-breath, I release all tension. Breathing in, I know I am alive. Breathing out in this present moment. Breathing in, there is only this present moment. Breathing out, it is a wonderful moment. Thank you, that's it.
Thank you, Dorothy. I really needed that. So I want to say again, thank you to everybody for your stories, your insight. Thank you to the ACT team, to the artist facilitators who've been working with us so closely over the last, what it feels like, weeks, months. Our storytellers, very special people in our lives. So when you see them out there in Providence, go out, take a walk, check out the murals, listen to some songs, say hi to them. And then of course, thank you to you for making this happen. So as we're sort of nearing the end now, I would love, love, love to hear, what themes do you think continue to come up? What stands out to you? What made you excited to hear? What touched you? And you can go ahead and drop that in the chat room, and then I'll read them out to the rest of the group, if that feels okay. Third space is Sebastian. Oh, third space is for all age groups. The importance of mentor supporting and showing us that it's possible to make your art be loud and be visible. I really enjoy the prompt about how we envision art in Providence in the year 2030. It feels like 2030, we should be like Back to the Future, like doing crazy things, but it's real, it's gonna happen. And you are all shaping the culture and what's happening here and what's to happen in 2030. holding space. Relationships are key. Woo. Creating connections between artists and classrooms. Mentorships coming up again. Student-centeredness. And all the good work that's already happening in schools and out of schools. Honoring young artists, their process over the product. Thank you for that. Self-care and financial resources for the ones who are doing the relational work. Get paid. You matter. You need to be getting paid. If you're an artist, I'm going to echo what Lizzie said in our room. You deserve to be paid for your efforts, and your art in yourself are valuable. Expanding the safe space and arts organizations into the rest of the world, influencing other institutions, ecosystems of learning, supporting arts educators, and creating space for young artists. Being a cocoon of change, growing into butterflies. I love that. It was so cool to hear so many of us were in youth art programs. Seriously, I just want to give a big shout out to Urban Arts for holding it down for youth, being so monumental, and everybody and all of the other organizations as well. Art as a lifelong experience. Yes, all day long, because somebody in our group brought up the fact that art needs to be normalized at an early age. And I said, yes, value in the arts, and I'm hearing value in the arts. Trusting young artists to allow them to create things and make our city more beautiful and vibrant and functional. Resources, infrastructure, equitable, competitive salaries. Again, I'm hearing we need to be paying our youth who are artists, and everybody at any age should be getting paid. Collaborations, yes, that came up. Intergenerational spaces. Pathways needs to be made visible. So I think that we need to do a better job at making ourselves more visible to everybody, for sure. Artists as community, we need to gather more. Pathways for artists of color, absolutely, because we need to make sure that youth are seeing themselves reflected in their identities and their experiences and their accents and their foods and everything that means what it means to be a youth of color in our city. Trips for school-age students to see RISD museums, but also the murals. Oh my God, I love that. In public art around the city. Integration of education, civics, and ethnic studies. Absolutely, I feel like you can't have one without the other. Providence, the first city in America to make apprenticeship in arts as part of our technical, if not otherwise, trades education. Imagine that. I mean, Providence is already known as the artistic capital of America, so we can make it happen. So many amazing things popping up here. We're about 10 minutes away from wrapping up. One last comment. Don't forget about the Museum of Natural History at Roger Williams Park. It is free to Providence residents, that's right. It blends arts and sciences. So with all of this amazing insight, yes, you are also beautiful. I second that. I want to personally thank you again, and not just for sharing, but honestly for inspiring me personally and inspiring our group to continue to do this work, especially right now where it feels really, really difficult to be able to carry on the work that we do and such a confinement and facing financial difficulties. But it really helps to center ourselves on the work that we do because it really, really, truly matters in so many ways. So with that, I'm gonna pass it over. Oh, and one last thing. I wanna just take a second and give yourself permission to say, I am an artist. I make art with my body. I make art with objects around me, because art is really the way that our culture gets pushed forward. So don't forget to do that. All right, so I'm gonna pass this over to the ACT staff. Muchas gracias por estar aquí con nosotros el día de hoy. por haber quedado con nosotros por 2 horas para hablar de este tema que es muy, muy importante. Again, thank you, and I will see you all soon.
Thank you, Denise. That was awesome. Thank you for being our MC today. Thank you all so much. Thank you, PIAC. Thank you, ACT staff. Thank you, Arav and Angela and Roz for sharing your stories so generously and honestly and just keeping it real. That was really beautiful. And thank you all for being here and participating in your breakouts and helping us envision the next 10 years of arts teaching and learning in Providence. I have to say it's been a really rewarding experience to be here with you all tonight, and especially to hear all of the conversation around mentorship. I think we all can think of those special people in our lives that just like said the right thing at the right moment and were there and didn't stop being there. And just to all the arts educators and teaching arts in the room, I just want to say thank you. There have been many times where it felt like the life-saving moment was coming from an arts educator and a mentor. So thank you for doing what you do in the world and in Providence. And yeah, I just want to make sure that we continue to keep this conversation alive. The Creative Providence Cultural Plan really is meant to be a living blueprint for our office, and not just our office, but for the sector at large, for all of the arts education organizations, for our teaching artists, for-profit arts businesses. Like, this is really for the whole sector, and we really are interconnected and are part of an arts ecosystem here. So we're really hoping that you continue the conversation, and also know that we as the city can't own all of it and shouldn't own all of it. So we just have to make sure that we're constantly in communication and accountable to one another in advancing this forward. One way that we are asking everyone to continue the conversation is to host a focus group. So I'm just gonna pop this link into the chat. It's pretty simple, it's a Google form. And we would love if you could, after tonight and feeling inspired by all of these stories, sit down with your family, go through this chart, sit down with your friends, your colleagues, arts organizations, your classrooms, and go through some of these questions on the Google form and just help us get a little deeper and more granular in things that could become strategies and recommendations for moving the future of arts teaching and learning forward for the next 10 years. And you can also find more information on the cultural plan here. I'll pop that link in. That's also on our blog. This will be recorded or has been recorded. It'll be up on our blog. All of the other sessions up there. We have one more coming up on resilient nonprofits. And then we will be distilling all of this information that we received from the Google Forms for the focus group, from the studios themselves. We'll be sending out some written documents so that there's space for you all to comment on the writing as we're developing it. And then we will release a draft and receive comments on that. So we're not done. We're gonna keep tapping into you. We have all your emails, so you will be hearing from us. And we really hope that you continue to be part of creating this policy document that will hopefully be the thing that excites those young artists to stay here once they graduate college and be a teaching artist and a practicing artist here. And also the thing that makes space for our elders to feel like they can continue learning in the arts and age and place here well. So thank you. Thank you for being a part of it today. Thank you, ACT staff. Thank you, Janaea, for keeping this running smooth. And thank you once again to PIAC. You all are awesome. Thank you so much.